You can see the arrays, you can see the combiner box here. There's no disconnects up on this roof here. Follow the conduit down the roof, comes over the edge, and then we see it goes down to those inverters with their disconnects. So tactically, if there were a fire involving these PV arrays, this would be a totally defensive operation. We'd put the stick up, get the aerial up with either master stream or small hose lines, but we would not be walking on this roof with hose lines. All right, so now we're down in the basement of this building, and this is a 5th inverter. This is the largest one, but you can see that at some commercial structures you'll have multiple inverters, not just one large inverter. We can see here the AC disconnect, and this right here is a label showing the company that was responsible for installing it and their 24-hour access number. You may or may not have those. So another thing I want to point out is this main electrical panel. This particular breaker right here, it says Selectra PV inverter. This is the main circuit breaker for all the inverters on the site. So if you just find this and you trip this one breaker, all these inverters go off. So another source to disconnect the inverters. Now, remember, when we're shutting the inverters off, all we're doing is stopping the power from going out to the grid or inside the building. The roof is still live all the time when light's shining on them. So this is not shutting down any of the panels, any of the wires coming down to the inverters. It's just shutting the inverters off and shutting off the AC power from going back in the building or back out to the grid. All right, we're out here at the Oregon Solar Highway installation at 205 and 5. This is a 100 kilowatt ground mount utility scale system. You notice the chain link fence behind me. This should be considered a behind the fence installation. With any really large utility scale systems, we don't need to go inside there. Now that's not to say that we might not be called upon here because a car went off the roadway, crashed through the chain link fence, and crashed into the array. The issues to be concerned about under those situations would be to try and shut off the inverters before we would interact with the vehicle. When you shut off the inverters, it lessens the ability for current to flow. There's still an electrical hazard, but it makes it a little bit safer for us. So let's go ahead and take a look at where those disconnects are and where the inverters are. Here's the inverter for this installation. It's a 100 kilowatt inverter, and you can see that there's 2 disconnects on it. There's an AC disconnect on the right and a DC disconnect on the left. Don't worry about which ones, just activate both of them, turn them both off. Over on the right, this is where it interconnects to the main grid. There's some disconnects there. Go ahead and shut both of those off, that's fine. The key point is if you see a disconnect, activate it. If a vehicle were to crash into this array, you must treat it as if it were a vehicle into any other energized electrical component. There's many variables involved to determine whether or not you'd actually get shocked. Far too many variables for me to actually say that this is what you'd have to do. The question of tarping the array, it's physically impossible to tarp this entire array, but any tarps that would carefully be placed over this array would lower the voltage a little bit. So it's a tool in the toolbox. Just be careful not to contact any of the metal components. All right, so that's about it. Key points to remember is that PV systems are here to stay. You're going to begin to see more and more in your districts. Important steps to remember with them is the 360 is key. Identify it once you get there. Notify the whole fire ground. They may be energized anytime light is hitting them. Sunlight or artificial light. Don't touch them. Stay away from them, especially if damaged. If you need to apply water from a distance. My name is Matt Paiss. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. Stay safe.